Number 8. Jacob Brown, Dakota DeMoss, and George Harper. Louisiana State Troopers Jacob Brown, Dakota DeMoss, and George Harper were charged with misdemeanor simple battery in May of 2022, following the beating of a suspect 2 years prior. 29-year-old Antonio Harris had been stopped for a minor traffic violation. Law enforcement checked his information and discovered that he had a suspended driver's license and outstanding warrants. Harris re-entered his Hyundai Sonata while the troopers were distracted and fled. The ensuing chase spanned 29 miles, recorded speeds of up to 150 miles per hour, and ended after the police deployed a tire deflation device. The Sonata ended in a cornfield in rural Franklin Parish. Harris immediately got out and lay prone on the ground with his arms and legs extended. DeMoss was the first to arrive at the scene, and as shown by court records, he struck Harris with his knee and slapped him several times in the face with an open palm before switching off his body cam. When Harper, then in his mid-20s, and Brown made their way to the scene, the former struck Harris with a fist reinforced by a flashlight, while the latter pulled on his braids. The three officers maintained that Harris had kept resisting arrest, but a state police internal investigation subsequently determined that had never been the case. Moreover, the troopers had sought to conceal from investigators that there was body cam footage. The clips disproved their version of events, as they indicated Harris had surrendered and wasn't a threat. In the ongoing case, evidence was also presented of a group text in which the officers had joked about the whooping and that it would give Harris nightmares for a long time. A message from Brown read, "Warms mine heart knowing we could educate that young man." Each of the troopers faced up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine if found guilty. Number 7. Marquez Smith. Former Popeyes manager Marquez Smith was arrested in the city of Bainbridge, Georgia, on Memorial Day 2022 for physically attacking a teenage employee during his time with the franchise. 20-year-old Smith had become enraged when the teenager attempted to clock out. As tensions escalated in the video-recorded interaction, a male employee got between them. Smith and the teen continued the heated verbal exchange behind the counter before he suddenly slapped her across the face, causing her to drop her phone. Smith then assumed a fighting stance and put his fists up, but the teen only reacted to defend her face. Customers and staff intervened, and fortunately no further incidents occurred. The video quickly went viral, and Popeyes replied claiming they were absolutely horrified and that Smith had been terminated from his position. He was arrested on several charges, including first-degree battery, and the court date was set for September the 6th. Number 6. James Pitts. On October the 21st of 2010, Philadelphia jewelry store owner William Glatz was found gunned down in a failed robbery. 2 men entered the store and a shootout ensued, with 67-year-old Glatz, whose family had owned the business for roughly 6 decades. Both he and one of the robbers, 22-year-old Kevin Turner, who'd escaped from Curran Fromehold Correctional Facility 9 days earlier, sustained fatal injuries. The other robber escaped but was later named as Obinna Onyaya, a man with a violent criminal history who reportedly served prison terms in New Jersey for bank robberies. He confessed to the robbery and was convicted of second-degree murder, for which he was sentenced to life in prison. Onyaya spent roughly 11 years of this term before it was concretely proven that he'd had nothing to do with the robbery and Glatz's murder. The District Attorney's Office Conviction Integrity Unit had examined witness testimony and relied on the analysis of multiple forensic experts who determined that Turner's accomplice had been shorter than 5 foot 11 inches, while Onyaya was 6 foot 3 inches. Another pivotal piece of evidence was something that Onyaya and his legal defense had always maintained, namely that the confession had been beaten out of him. Veteran homicide detective James Pitts was accused of employing several coercive tactics during interrogation, such as striking the man with a closed fist and forcefully pushing his head between his legs. The detective then lied about his violent methods. As of March 2022, a grand jury recommended he be charged with 2 counts of perjury and 3 counts of obstructing the administration of law. The case against the officer was ongoing, but by then, Onyaya had already been cleared of all the charges against him. Number 5. Frank Hernandez. On April the 27th of 2020, LAPD officer Frank Hernandez was caught on video savagely beating an unnamed homeless man who'd been accused of trespassing in Boyle Heights. Hernandez and his partner had responded to the call and spotted the man setting up his tent in a vacant lot adjacent to a church. As shown in cell phone footage, Hernandez proceeded to land over a dozen hard punches to the man's head and body, as he appeared to be neither armed nor resisting arrest. The 28-year-old victim suffered abrasions, but wasn't reported to have required hospitalization. The incident didn't meet the standards requiring the LAPD to release body cam video, but its dissemination was eventually ordered in mid-May, after the cell phone footage had sparked outrage online. This is a disturbing case of the illegal use of force at the hands of a police officer, District Attorney Jackie Lacey told the media. Hernandez was charged with one felony count of assault under color of authority, to which he pleaded not guilty, while defending his tactics as appropriate for the situation. Number 4. Tanya Ramirez. In January of 2016, a former teacher at a high school in Corpus Christi, Texas, pleaded guilty to a second-degree felony charge of improper relationship between an educator and student. 30-year-old Tanya Ramirez had been arrested in 2014 amidst accusations of being involved with a male student in his late teens while working at King High School. After they'd exchanged flirtatious texts for several weeks, Tristan Price had gone to her house on May the 30th in the early hours of the morning, and while inebriated, the two became intimately engaged, and Price recorded the act on his cell phone. News of the improper relationship began to spread and reached local police, whom Price eventually provided with a video showing a woman with an 8-inch tattoo on her lower back, identified as Ramirez. The teacher surrendered to the authorities and was promptly fired from her job. She was further accused of having been involved with a second unnamed student, aged the same as Price, a charge to which she pleaded no contest. Following a plea deal, Ramirez was given 7 years of probation and didn't have to register as an offender because both victims had met the legal age of consent. During the course of her trial, she filed a lawsuit against Price, accusing him of extreme and outrageous conduct for secretly recording their tryst and then showing the video to his friends. The former teacher claimed that he'd done so to earn bragging rights and that it had contributed to him becoming more popular and eventually being voted homecoming king. The suit also accused the student's mother of defamation after she'd allegedly called Ramirez a predator. The public showdown between Ramirez, Price, and his mother was the subject of an episode of the Dr. Phil show. It featured a moment when the mother contradicted the former teacher's statements that the video had gone viral by saying, "It wasn't that good. It was only 10 seconds, baby," triggering peals of laughter from the studio crowd. Number 3. Patricia Coley. The 22-year-old manager of an Indiana Wendy's was arrested in September of 2021 for assaulting a teenager under her supervision. Patricia Coley was on duty on July the 29th when an argument erupted between her and a younger female employee. The victim tried to walk to the back door of the Mishawaka area restaurant during the row when Coley charged her from behind. The manager punched her in the back of the head and pulled her hair before dragging her to the ground, where the attack continued. Coley was also reported to have bitten deeply into the worker's left hand. During her onslaught, the victim was treated for the bite and a possible concussion, while Coley was arrested on September the 6th and faced charges of battery and disorderly conduct. Today's topic was requested by Phantom. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Olivia Ortz. In late spring of 2022, Olivia Ortz's husband returned to their Pennsylvania home from a trip to Florida and discovered a series of messages on his wife's iPad. They suggested that 26-year-old Ortz had been intimately involved with one of her students at the Wilmington area high school, where she worked as a choir director. The man also worked for the school, setting up stage events, such as plays and musicals, and was obligated under state law to report any instance of abuse, misconduct, or exploitation. He alerted the school's administration and Ortz was suspended before a warrant was issued for her arrest in early May. In spite of her looming legal troubles, the woman didn't immediately turn herself in to the police and even sang in a local concert over the weekend. She eventually surrendered at the advice of her attorney. The resulting investigation revealed that she and an unnamed female student had initially started texting each other in and out of school. Ortz then invited the student to her home while her husband was away. The teenager told detectives that she and the woman had snuggled on the couch and watched TV before they eventually went to the bedroom and became intimate. They met and spent the night together on several subsequent occasions, and the teen even visited the teacher to comfort her when her husband found out about the illicit relationship. The student maintained that she and Ortz were in love, but the latter was arrested on multiple charges, including 2 counts of intercourse contact with a school student and criminal use of a communication facility. The arrest made headlines, particularly since her music director predecessor, 37-year-old Jonathan Priano, had been arrested on similar charges of having had inappropriate contact with students throughout his tenure. Number 1. Shauna Bishop. Shauna Bishop, a former sheriff's deputy from Sacramento County, California, was sentenced to a year in jail and 5 years probation in 2020 after she'd admitted to have had illicit relations with a male teenager. The incident had occurred in April of the previous year. Bishop, then in her mid-40s, had ended her year-long relationship with a man who worked for the same department. The fellow officer had told his ex-wife that he was uncomfortable with the way in which Bishop behaved around their son. As detailed in court documents, however, the ex-wife and the deputy were friends, and she invited her to spend the night at her home on April the 28th of 2019. The woman had asked Bishop, an authority figure, to speak to the teen about his drug and alcohol use. That night, after the mother had fallen asleep, Bishop went to his room where they had intercourse and other intimate relations. After a few weeks, the teen disclosed the incident to his 19-year-old sister, who in turn told their mother. The latter alerted the police, and an investigation was launched, during the course of which Bishop resigned before being taken into custody in June. The teen's parents alleged that Bishop had taken advantage of her position of power and groomed him. Leading up to her guilty plea, she'd tried blaming her actions on side effects of the sedative Ambien, which both she and the boy's mother had taken before going to bed on the night. In addition to her sentence, the disgraced deputy also had to register as an offender. Thanks for watching. Would you rather start your day without making any plans or have it entirely guided by an army drill instructor? Let us know in the comments section below.